The cat is on my lap, the artists are in Vienna, and we're about to take a look at the best rehearsal photos from Eurovision 2026. Hello and welcome to ESC Canuck, a YouTube channel that's all about the Eurovision Song Contest. My name is Scott, I am a television professional and a Euro fan. I'm delighted to have you here, and we are here to discuss the rehearsal photos from the Strad Hall in Vienna. I am recording this on the evening of May 8th, and that means that some countries are still yet to do their second rehearsals, which means we haven't seen their second rehearsal photos, nor have we seen their rehearsal videos. So in this video, we are just sticking to the rehearsal photos that were released officially through Eurovision for the first rehearsals. Each country posted 3 photos. Bulgaria only posted 2 for some reason. Some things about this list: when I sat down I was like, Scott, you can't keep making long videos, just pick your top 10, and then I went through and every photo that made me go, wow, that's cool, I downloaded, and then I had 21 of them. So instead of a top 10, we're doing a top 21. First of all, these are not screenshots of the actual sort of filmed rehearsals. What that means is there's a photographer in the arena that's taking photographs of the action, and the angles that we're seeing are not necessarily the angles that are going to be in the actual Eurovision performance. Nothing I'm about to say about these photos is a reflection on the quality of the song or whether or not I think it will qualify. Something very important as well is that I have only got 1 photograph from each country, and no country repeats. In cases where I thought there were multiple great photos from a country, I picked the best photo, and that's where that country went in the spot. I have eaten a metric kilogram of pasta, so we're recording this in a race against the carb crash. Let's dive right into it. At number 21, I have Paloma Rumba. I like the motion of the dancers, I like the energy, I think the color palette is really, really interesting. Something I'd heard was that the background was looking a little AI, and I have to say, when I'm looking at this, I do see certain visual artifacts that to me read as coming from an AI video. That is little glitches in here. I'm not sure these are actual words. So that's a little disappointing. That's actually why this image is in 21st. Consider it an honorable/dishonorable mention. Something I like in this particular image that does continue through a lot of these is the way that elements of the stage and of the lighting actually become sort of structural elements in the visual performance. And we've got that here with these lights that are up the top. I like the way that this is this back screen is folding up. It's almost like, I think of it like a piece of paper in a copy machine. Weirdly, we've got interesting little pocket details here that are reminiscent of the post-it notes. I wonder if they're actual post-it notes that are sort of sandwiched between a really sheer outer fabric and the fabric of his suit there. I'm also living for this guy's glasses, which make him look like he's kind of got a unibrow there. These backup dances, I think, will be ones to watch purely because you gotta keep up with Simon. Armenia coming in at number 21. Maybe let's try not to use AI if possible. All right, at number 20, it's Estonia. This image really stood out to me when I was first looking at the images as they were coming out every day, because I love this gold. I think it's working so well with the colors in their costume. I love the girl rock. I love we're rocking out. I love how much fun everyone is having, like, showing on their faces. I get joy from this. And I, as a consumer of media, can never get enough joy. I love all of the particles we're seeing here in the background. It almost looks a little bit like a particularly golden beer or something, or like champagne bubbles. It's giving me that effervescence, that energy that I really want from this performance, from Estonia. And we got a drummer who's in black. He's in black because he's the background. He is not the focus. Vanilla Ninja is the focus. I hope the final performance that we see in the semifinal feels like this image. I think that would be a huge achievement. At number 19, we have Greece, specifically this image of Achilles, arms out. I can tell exactly where in the song this image is from, and that's because, of course, we're actually getting subtitles on the back screen here. I'm buying things to fill the gaps, which is an actual lyric in the song. I don't think they're going to subtitle the entire performance. The images and his attitudes sell you the main thrust of the song. I want things, bring me all the things. But this moment, this sort of broad, open-voiced moment where he's talking about, like, it's all for you, mum, putting the subtitles in the back paring down the visual clutter of this performance and having a really pure, really resonant moment, I think is going to do wonders for them. And it's also spectacular. The way that, you know, those little almost stars in the background match these stars that we're seeing down here around the edge of the stadium. The way that I think they're there on the catwalk as well, up to the front. For a super saturated performance like Grease, to have that moment of visual clarity and emotional clarity, I think is really fun. It's really important. I think Grease has absolutely nailed it, and also at a nice distance. We're gonna see a couple of shots in this series that are way further. We're gonna see a lot that are way closer up, but this one, for this moment, for this energy, it's speaking to me. I like it. Speaking of framing, at number 18, I'm going with Belgium. This staging is fantastic. I like the white outfits that they're in. One of the great uses of the white is the fact that it is picking up all of this ambient lighting that is coming off of the screen underneath them. They become almost like a palette. So as the backing screen is changing, so does the energy, the vibe, and the color on our dancers and on Asila here. This collar here is a little heavy for me. It sort of feels like it's choking her in a little bit. I think it's very important to have her in the center, all the lines leading to her, everything focused in. These kind of burnt orange sand tones. It's playing so well off of everyone's like skin tones. It's really making them pop. And for that reason, I think it's just great. It's promising big things, and I like that. At number 17, it's Lionsika from Lithuania. Something this image really highlights, and that is very clever, is the specific geometry of the stage. Now, I have thoughts about the stage. I actually think it's brilliant. It will give this year such a unique flavor, specifically because the catwalk into the stage floor, into the back wall, all being one solid moment, and then that swirl around and the specific lights they've got to either side. You can't disappear into a world as easily as you could in previous years. Just the way it's set up with the widescreen presentation, if you're far enough back, you're seeing off the sides of that stage, and it's going to make everything this year feel like they are different performers on the same stage. And importantly, the really interesting framing element from where the cameras are that we've seen so far is this verticality. The way that the screen bends, it's like it goes up forever. And that verticality is exactly what we're seeing in this particular image. As well, like his coat is just phenomenal. I believe it looks the same as the one we saw at the national final. His hands, the way he's pointing down, the down and the stop, these conflicting signals, knowing he goes into his robot dance. I gotta admit, I was not always a fan of the silver, but the way that it is picking up the blues and the tones of the lighting and of the stage is incredibly magnetic. It's incredibly haunting. Now, like I said, we don't know that the framing in the actual performance is going to be anything like this, but this vertical image of the vertical stage, this long spotlight beam of light straight down, like narrowing an already narrow presentation even further. Really striking, very strong image, great photograph. At 16, in a bit of a tonal shift, I have Moldova. I love this image. I love it, I think, even more because the cameraman is in it. Like, we know that the shot is gonna be right up in their faces. They're gonna be having a crazy time and having just a blast. Even from off camera, even when they're not making eye contact, like the fun of the performance. I'm getting the energy, I'm getting the color palette. I really love it. I love the desaturated yellow. I'm not sure if that's just sort of a side product of the cameras they were using and the lighting, or if it will look that pale in the final product, but it's just gorgeous. To have three colors equally saturated would be a little too much for the eye, so that paler yellow with the really strong red, the really strong blue, it's phenomenal. I even like the guy in the back who's a little more armored up. He's got these like shin pads, this chainmail. I love that we're getting these chainmail accents everywhere. I love the spangliness of the drummer. Give me a spangly drummer any day. And of course, this memified animation at the back. I'm not gonna lie, some people will find it chintzy and cheesy. It feels very iPhone. I kinda want a plushie of it. At 15, we're going to a really phenomenal image from Croatia. The drama in this particular tableau, the way that there is this outreach for connection, the way that one of them is in white and the other four are in the red. For me, this image feels like someone being brought into the fold, someone being rescued, someone being saved. And I get that drama and that imagery. First of all, we've got a big root and big rocks. It's making me think of Lord of the Rings, where the hobbits are hiding underneath that tree root, and then the ring wraith comes over the top to go sniff them because their shampoo is so nice, I guess. So it's giving me hiding. It's giving me moving in the dark, moving in the shadows. And a real key to that is the fact that this performer, I'm sorry, I don't know their names, is looking out, is looking straight at us. She is like looking for a threat. She is watching her sisters' backs as they are doing the work of helping someone. Like, this image very much says community to me. I cannot wait to see how they do their staging and these moments where we will have like the 4 against the 1. At 14, we have what I think is maybe the best example of an act turning the physical structures on the stage, like the actual infrastructure of the stage, into an artistic element. Very much like last year where we had the beams of light that would be off kilter or move into position or sort of flap like they did for Ukraine. Here, this descending lighting rig into the triangle, just everything is like moving in right on our lead singer here. These are sort of big, smooth shapes. They look quite large, quite heavy, and that is making the small details on his outfit here, the belts, the buckles, the zippers, everything stands out even more. The fact that the blue cone of light that is coming down is getting augmented by the blue of the LEDs on the background, it's setting such a mood without being super explicit. The fog is also at a really nice level where we feel like it might blow away or engulf them at any time. At 13, we've got Denmark. I really enjoy this image. It's far closer than most of the ones I've chosen. I'm such a fan of like the geography and the layout of the stage this year, the way people are moving and interacting with it, but something about the emotion that's been like captured in this moment is really special. Don't quote me on this, but I have a feeling that this is from like a run through where the main key lights that are supposed to be on our performers are switched off. The streaks of blue and red that I'm getting, it's looking like it's a projection onto him, and these blues are coming down into the arm, and we know from the MGP performance that the color palette of this song is this blue teal into the red at the end, and this moment where he is like both at the same time, where they are mixing and overlapping and overflowing, that's cool. I'm also a big fan of like the connection in this. It also looks like we might be inside the box at this moment in the song. I'm getting the reflection up here. This shiny reflection makes me think that it's the inside of the box, but yet from where I would think this camera had to be, they would be shooting through like the plexiglass, and yet I'm not getting the distortion of that. So I'm actually really curious, like, does the front of the box lift up? Is that a thing we're gonna see? Who knows? At 12, we're heading to Georgia. This I have like less to say about. They're using some of Felicia's lasers, it looks like. I really like how the blue and the white in the color palette are reflecting off their bright yellow costumes and giving us this sort of teal green. I love the way that they are stalking towards the camera. The way the light is falling on their faces in this particular image is adding a lot of mystery. Like, you almost can't tell if their eyes are entirely black in the way that this projection's eyes are totally white. I don't think they'd do that. That would be a wild thing for them to do, unless they've got a contact lens change in the middle of the song, which, ooh, ow. And also I think the big robot looking backdrop, really cool. The fact that this circle here is sitting on his head as well makes it look like a crown. Like, it looks like, I'm thinking of White Walkers in Game of Thrones, which lends like a real gravity and weight to that giant projection. I think you're like, we'll have giant versions of ourselves behind ourselves. It could look a little goofy, but this particular snapshot, I'm liking. It's got a great vibe. Number 11, and it's the UK. This shot is just fantastic. Like that pyro, it makes him look like he's walking through, you know, the middle of a fireworks factory, or he's walking past like a space shuttle launch. It's so great, the way that we've got all these textures in the firework, in the pyro that are going off, the way that these lights here in the background are coloring the smoke that would be just white into the same pink, like that tone just matches so well with his outfit. And also just because of the physical shape of the fog and how light goes through it, like that's such an, look at all the colors in that. That is wonderful. And we've got a little bit of fire down here at the end, which is also matching like so well with the yellow we're getting on his bootlaces. Like this is a really magic photograph. This is like there for 1,000th of a second and then immediately gone. And so huge kudos to Alma for getting this shot. We are heading into our top 10. So let's take a look at number 10. It's France and Monroe. Photography is really hard. You have to anticipate the moments that are going to happen when you are taking these photos, or you hold down the shutter and take a whole bunch in a row. I don't know where in the song it is happening, but I understand it is happening on a downbeat. Even if you didn't know the song, this is still a great photo, but knowing that we have these big lyrical floaty moments and then we come down, and this being one of those, the drama on her face as she's holding everything out, the way that we've got like nods to older style fashion, and yet it is matched with her collared shirt and her tie. It's such a classy choice and a great way of still retaining the energy and her feeling from that phenomenal music video without having it read so much schoolgirl. Also, the white is just doing an incredible job like blending in with the color of her hair here. It's delightful. Same with these backup dancers. Black and white, very popular color palette this year, but this moment it feels lived in. It doesn't feel like a sterile white or like a chrome or a silver. It feels very natural. Moving on to number 9, and it's Czechia. I love this image because it's a promise. Because the background has fallen away from him, and you get these really crisp and clean reflections behind Daniel here, and yet you also get the much less polished reflection off the floor that's almost in a way like more interesting. Like I hope it never feels like we know exactly where we are and exactly what's going on in the stage when it comes to this performance. The song is so ethereal and otherworldly that this really fits it. It fits that idea of seeing facets of having the choices. Crossroads, some people have really panned it for being a song that like says nothing, that says, I'm at a crossroads and I don't know where to go. I think those people might be missing some of the existential resonance of the song that I really respond to. Also, I'm really liking this little reflection on a reflection, it seems like. It almost looks like a bird in flight from this image. We're getting some little stars, which I think play so well. Absolutely love the color too, that it's not just black and white, that it is this sort of pale blue. At number 8, we have Poland. I have to say, this image has me incredibly excited and intrigued. What is happening on screen at this moment, I am worried about people's health and safety, which is exciting, I guess. We'll see how it goes. It looks like these two people at the front should be rolling up the hill while these gentlemen are jumping over the top of them. Alicia's at the front, unbothered by everything that's going behind. It's so fascinating. The perspective here, and I think it's actually what's happening in the arena as well, is that these lights are more horizontal and the lights at the back are more vertical. So you are getting this like sweeping kind of range of angles. Very dynamic, very exciting. At 7, we have Montenegro. I'm not gonna lie, I love this image mainly because of her expression. She looks vicious. It's almost a little vampiric. Even though I'm Canadian now, I'm originally from Australia, and that means that like I've seen a lot of reptiles make faces like this when they're not happy with you, and I think it fits so well. There's like a real gothic element here, the corset, right? And the way that we've got the details and these almost, they look like black grapes. The fine detail in the lace hitting this medium detail of the bubbles, hitting these big sharp lines and silhouettes. It's a really well-balanced costume here. The fact that she is down, she looks like she's about to spring up and strike at someone. The energy, there's a lot of like energy contained here that feels like it's about to explode. Also, incredible makeup, and I really enjoy this ruff, or this frill around her neck. It's reminding me a little bit of Francis Ford Coppola's Bram Stoker's Dracula, which has some of the best costumes ever designed. We're getting the pale blues, we're getting the silvers, the blacks, the whites, but the shapes here are what's setting it apart. At number 6, it's Ukraine. When I first saw this image, I actually thought that those billowing shapes were built into the background and just very cleverly sort of designed to look like they were actually in the space, but no, they're actually in the space because this one is going off to the side. It almost looks like there's supposed to be 4 sort of fanned out like this, but that this one here is sort of collapsed over to the side, but that is sort of speaking to the chaos of random movement. There is something unpolished and very natural and very powers of the earth moving that is in the song that is reflected by their choice to, I think, have giant fans, and I think these are what are we seeing here. Yep. When my apartment flooded, I had a whole bunch of those hanging around my living room trying to dry everything out. It's also so clever because of the angle of the screen moving up means that those wind machines, they're like parallel to the floor, and it's just the shape of the stage that is lifting everything up. As this one has fallen forward, it is catching a different like tone of the light. We're getting all of these delicious like wine tones in the background of everything here, and the ombre here of the stage. The emotion and the movement in her dress here, like say dress, in this costume, very clever, very smart, very dynamic, super excited. Great burgundy too. Now we're on to our top 5, and at number 5 I have Delta Goodrem with Eclipse. The shape of the moon is so interesting. The asymmetry is a really smart choice here. Delta, in speaking about her performance, has talked about going to new heights. I wonder if that is going to involve this sort of structure lifting up into the air. I thought they might try and fly her, but then I saw her dress and heard that it was like 7,000 Swarovski crystals. I don't know if that's how you pronounce Swarovski. A lot of atmosphere here. A lot of like, it almost looks like a waterfall of stars. I would be interested to know, is this raining down? Is it moving that we look like we're in a giant matrix full of stars and we're just finding her at the center here? The way that these trains are folding over the back of her arms, ooh, gorgeous. Delicious. The way that there's lights inside this as well, like I really hope they're moving with the music. I'm hoping so many things. This image makes me hope a lot. The way we're getting the color of her dress because it is sheer cast down here on the front. This is, I think, an incredibly memorable image, and I hope it's even more memorable in motion. At number 4, I've got Norway. This is another great image. It's an angle that I don't think is going to be in the actual final performance of the song, though it really should be. The way we're getting the lights here, we're off, it looks like to the side. This is the big curve and swoop up. The way that the reds we're seeing in the lights are getting brought down to the ground by the swirl, by these like elements of atmosphere, the fog there. The way that the white lights are like lighting up, it looks like it was shot on actual film. And I know that that's not the case for these images, but still, it's crazy. There's the motion. It's a great stride right there. Purpose, he's heading somewhere, but just, I mean, the thing about this is the colors. The starburst, the soft cloud shapes, the sharp lines, the angles, the pops of white into the pink, into the red. Ooh, it's a good one. It's looking great. At number 3, it's Romania. Just wow. Like, we're far too close to see what's going on in the background, but the background is not important. The shapes of these cables coming attached to sort of her torso here are incredible. The way her hand is extended right along that line, the way her eyes are pointing where her hand is. First of all, I'm not a makeup aficionado. This makeup is incredible. I don't know how it makes her eyes seem even larger, even more expressive than they are. I think Alexandra is a phenomenal actor, whether she knows it or not, because she is looking with intent. She is singing with intent. The lines of this image show intent, and the way that sort of these parts here around her hips are like curving in and pulling in, there is that sense that either this energy that is coming into her, she is controlling, containing, capturing, holding on to. It's such a great push and pull in the shapes in this image. so phenomenal. If she does this in motion, it's even more impressive because there's so many things moving and happening. You can't control these lines very well, I don't think, no matter what they're made out of. A reactive performance, an energetic and embodied performance with a lot of energy, like, chef's kiss, great image. At my number 2 spot, I have San Marino. San Marino is not expected to do well, and to see this, to see the kind of the lilac, the lavender tones in this, the purple, the way it is playing from that blue to purple like spectrum, the wonderful golds we're getting off here, the way we're getting these reflective surfaces, like the color story here is incredible. It's sparkly, there's so much happening, like there's so many textures here. The lights, as you can see, are also, they've got like a prism effect, red, yellow and blue, and that means you're going to get green from some angles. Like, it feels like a prism, it feels like a kaleidoscope. It's so high energy. This pyro is like the perfect height to not damage the roof. And the way that we have these laser beams up here that are, again, like red and yellow, yellow, green, blue, we got a purple one, we got this like indigo over here. It's fantastic. I also love the reflections on the roof here. That's one element I don't think they're going to frame for in the actual television performance, but there's such a great, like the way it's catching the light here, the texture of the paneling in it. It's very like futuristic, but also weirdly 70s. Just a whole lot of fun. Just a great image, like truly desktop wallpaper stuff here. Now it's time for my number 1 image from the first rehearsals of Eurovision 2026. Did you pick it? Did you guess what it was? Did you see that my background lighting is red and green? It's Switzerland. The camera that's picking up Veronica is this one here over to the side, and it looks like it is moving in or moving out or moving around, but this angle where the photographer is, that's the angle. Seeing how she's tethered to this web behind her, the way that web is stretching back to the huge prop on the stage, the way that looks like it's blending into the thing behind her, she is like pulling with all her body. This angle she's on is just incredible. I'm loving the red highlights we're getting here on her guitar. They look like reflections, they don't look like painted details, but it is so gorgeous. It was a thing in the 90s, and I guess early 2000s, I remember as a kid, where there would always be some strongman that like hooked himself up to a 747 and tried to like dig his feet in and like drag a plane behind him. And I'm getting that same like effort, the pulling. There's a red light somewhere that is making this patchwork here really make the background look three-dimensional. The depth of it is great. The way that this looks like blood vessels and capillaries, the way that the green and the red symbolize like a danger, poison even, is so intriguing knowing like the interpretations of the song. The way her hair is falling, the way her hand is out like she has just strummed the guitar out to the side. Ooh. It's a gorgeous image. Also, like the red reflected here in the lens of this light is so cool. The way the red is catching some of the structure underneath this giant prop from this angle is fantastic. Angles of all of these different lines. And this particular angle from the stills camera is great because we're not losing her in this tangle and this mess. We are seeing her struggle and pull away from it and still be attached. And that is where the drama is, and that's why I'm gonna be so curious to see how this section looks like in the final performance. Because if we're seeing it from front on, you're not getting the effect of that lean, and that lean is so dramatic. This was it. This was my #1 pick of the first rehearsal photographs. I think it's stunning. I think it's gorgeous. Thank you so much for watching. Please like and subscribe if you thought my opinions were at the very least mildly entertaining. I'll take that as a huge win. I hope that you're as excited about this year's contest as I am, and if you had a favorite image from these rehearsals so far, put it in the comments. Hopefully I'm gonna be back before the first semi-final with another video looking at my top 5 of the rehearsal video clips. So if you wanna see that video, make sure to like and subscribe and do that little bell thing that they make us do now, just so you can get updated when that video goes live, if it goes live. I have a whole life I'm trying to balance this with, but Eurovision's just so good, guys. I could talk about it forever, but I won't because the video's over. Cal, hey. Hey, buddy. You want to come up? You want to tell the people what you think of Lion Sika? No. He's quite all right, thank you.